Hi, my friend, and welcome to the Good Girl Syndrome show. My name is Julie Vander Meulen, if you do not yet know me, or Julie Vander Meulen, depending on how you like to pronounce my name and where you are in the world. Today, I have a very exciting episode that's all about alignment and being able to discern when you're actually feeling aligned versus when you're choosing comfort. Yeah, and how to make the difference between the two. This lovely episode and this topic comes from one of the lovely women in my audience. Her name is Clémence, and she has written me quite a little paragraph explaining how she feels and distinctions in that, and she asks a few questions. So that's what we're going to do. But before we do that, my friend, if you feel like sending me some love, please do encourage me. Do whatever you feel is right for you. Put a like on this video if you enjoy it. Write down in the comments, write back to me. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Share it with your friends. Go check out all my different links in the description box. I have a Good Girl Syndrome quiz. I have a free version. I have paid versions. I have a Sunday Sanctuary newsletter where you can apply all of I have different questions where you can fully integrate what we talk about this week's episodes. There's plenty of things. So do whatever is right for you right now. Now, with that being said, let's start with Clémence. So I'm going to read what she said first, and then I'm going to unpack it little by little, as I always do on Wednesday episodes. So this is what Clémence says. She starts with, I'm confused, right? I'm confused. I get that. I'm often confused too. Sometimes I feel like I should push myself, go for things that scare me, because maybe I'm just afraid of discomfort and hiding behind alignment. But other times, I feel like I'm finally learning to listen to myself and respect my needs. Cool. How do I know if I'm avoiding something out of fear or if I'm actually honoring my intuition? How do I tell the difference between alignment and staying in my comfort zone? Right? So it's a discernment type of question. That's a fantastic question, Clémence. A very deep one at that. Cool. Very cool. So let me just start by saying it's impressive how self-aware you are. And the type of question you just asked is the type of question I still ask myself at times. Not on this specific topic, but finding the distinction between how do I, you know, when is it self-respect and self-love, and when is it self-sabotage that disguises as self-love and self-respect, right? So very, very interesting question. So the first thing you said is, I'm confused, right? There's a saying in the Tony Robbins world. I don't know if you've heard it before, Clémence. I don't know if you are in this Tony Robbins world or if you've heard about it. But I think he says something, I'm not exactly sure how he says it, but it's something along the lines of, whenever someone says I'm confused, in the whole event, everyone celebrates. We're like, yay, they're confused. Because it means, in this world, we say it means you're about to have a breakthrough. Like, it's you acknowledging that you don't have all the keys to something, which is fantastic news because it means you're ready for the next step. You're ready for the new learning or the new integration or the new step in your healing process. So yay, good job, being confused. So let's move on. Sometimes I feel like I should push myself, go for things that scare me. So you're putting these two things together. Like, you should push yourself, and you're saying that pushing yourself is going for things that scare you, right? You've put those two together. Because maybe I'm just afraid of discomfort and hiding behind alignment. So I'm going to separate the sentence into three parts because there's a shortcut that you did that I personally wouldn't have put together. I understand why you did it, no judgment here, but I'm just going to invite you to see two things that you put together here differently. So the first thing is, I should push myself. Whenever you say should, tells me you're here in your mind. This is your mind saying what you're supposed to be doing. You have rules for yourself of how you have to perform and how you have to behave, right? And so what you're saying here is you have a pattern of, let's call it, self-forcing, right? So I don't know where you picked that from. Our society, the hustle culture, your family, a hardworking family, perhaps a worker environment where you need to work really hard. I don't know where it comes from. I have that too, by the way. And to me, that tells me that this is an old pattern that you've been carrying around, right? And this pattern is one where you're probably a very hardworking person, Clémence. But also that tells me, and from the rest of the things that you said as well, that if you have to push, it means you push beyond what not just feels comfortable to you, but past your needs, right? What you want to do, past what you want to do, but also past what your body is saying to you, what your emotions might be saying to you, right? So you have, or at least you have had, a habit of pushing past what you like, what things inside of you are actually telling you. So probably patterns of not listening to yourself, not listening to like what's going on inside of you, and instead listening to the rules. But I have to do that. I should do that, right? Obligation type of mindset. And then you associated that, but that's very interesting to me, is you associating pushing yourself, like the shoulds, the obligation that you push yourself to do, with going for things that scare you. To me, well, you can push you. I understand why you're saying that. Like, I can see how if you're scared to do something, there's a little push that needs to be happening, right? You push yourself to do the thing that is uncomfortable. You push yourself to do the thing that is scary, right? I understand the pushing in that. But to me, there's a distinction between the two. Because when I'm forcing myself, or perhaps let me take it the other way, if I'm uncomfortable, right, and I'm scared, the type of push I need is more like a jump, you know? Like I need someone to be like, okay, go, you're scared, but go anyway. And that person can be me, right? So it's like a momentary thing where I'm gonna push myself for a small moment, right? I'm gonna stretch myself beyond what is comfortable, beyond what feels safe, beyond what feels reasonable, right? It feels something like that. And inside of me, you could see it probably from my smile, there's a mix of like, ugh, anticipation. I'm a little scared, but I'm also a little excited because, I want to do this thing, right? That's how it feels to me. When it's something that, I'm scared to do and I do it anyway, and I push myself, if I take back your words, to do it. The self-force type of thing that you were talking about to begin with, where you do not listen to your needs, to me is a different type of pushing. To me is something that reminds me of pain, right? Very much hustle culture of like, I will consistently, like constantly push and push and push and push beyond what feels right. Something along those lines. So I will repetitively push beyond what I need. I will not give myself a break because I have to do this. I should do this, right? A lot of obligation. It's like heavy. There's a heavy feeling to me. It's not like I'm going to push myself. It's going to be really, really scary. But once it's done, I'm like, yay, I did it. It's not that type of vibe. The pushing that you were talking about in the beginning feels like, and again, and again, and again, right? Which I can completely relate to. So it's from a sense of obligation and a sense of, who do you want to be or who do you feel like you have to be? There's a distinction there. I don't know if you can see it, Clémence. To me, there's a distinction there. And so, yeah, one feels like honoring the best part of you, if I can say it like that, the one that dares to dream, that dares to, that requires a little bit of effort and going out of your comfort zone so that you can expand, you can become more than who you used to be, or do things differently than how you used to do them, or whatever it is, right? Or think differently, whatever is true for you. The other one is I have needs and I have desires, and I'm a full human being, but I decide to cut myself from that because my mind told me there's a specific path that I need to take. There's a specific way of being that I need to have or to be, right? And so I'm letting go of all the other parts of me. So most probably my heart, out the door. My body and its signals, it's tired, it's sore, whatever, out the door, because I have this plan in my mind and I want to do it. And so I'm going to force myself, I'm going to force my heart, even if it's aching, I'm going to push my body, even though it's getting sick, it's tired, it's whatever it is, right? I have migraines, which has been my tendency, right? And so you would push through it. So I hope you can see the distinction there. And then there's a third aspect to your sentence, and you say, because maybe, so I should push myself, because maybe I'm just afraid of discomfort and I'm hiding behind the word alignment, right? And I actually can relate a lot to what you're saying here, not just in the pattern, but in the, how can I say, the wondering of the word alignment. So I use alignment all the time. I really believe in alignment. I think it's one of the keys to living a very fulfilled life, right? So I adore alignment, and it's the key to like how I know that I'm on the right path, right? So take the next thing that I'm going to say, take this with that in mind. I'll circle back to it. I still feel, even though I adore alignment and it's the key, like the core to how I lead my life. And if you come to a coaching session with me, that's what I'm going to guide you towards. What feels aligned to you, right? How does it feel in your body? How does it feel in your heart? And how does it feel in your mind? I do find that in the culture that we live in, so there's the hustle culture on the one hand, right? On the other hand, I sometimes find that in the very, you know, either in the spiritual type of circles or in the psychology oriented circles where we talk a lot, we're very aware of our needs, right? Stuff like that. And that's how we speak. I need this, right? For me to be happy or to not feel like that, I would need this, right? And so we have very sophisticated language to talk about our needs and, what's going on for us and all these different things. Sometimes I find that the people who are the most sophisticated in those ways can sometimes also be the people who are the most stuck, but it's socially acceptable in a way, at least in those circles, because we have fancy words to describe that. When in actuality, what I think I see in this person is a person who has done, for sure, a lot of work on themselves, who has read a lot, who is very aware of this vocabulary and what that looks like. And sometimes, however, when you are very sophisticated, and I say that because I have been this person too, right? Sometimes, because like we can get trapped in our sophistication, that because we have all the words, and it's also acceptable nowadays to say, and that's a good thing. I think that we're able to talk about our needs and stuff like that. I think sometimes then, especially among women, then if that is your need, then that is your need, and there is nothing to be said about that, right? And so the danger with that is I think it's a good basis to start. And I think that probably, I don't know, perhaps 80% of the time, that's how I live my life too. I'm looking at like, what do I really want? What do I really need? Like, this is the basis of how I live my life. And also, I know that I am extremely good at rationalizing my fears into like excuses and justifications that sound amazing to the outside world, and they'll be good for you, like rest or do this or do. But then inside myself, it's actually not true. It does not feel aligned. It sounds like alignment because I know how to portray it and say, yeah, but because my needs are like this or like, but inside myself, it doesn't feel aligned. It feels like I'm actually betraying myself, but I am sophisticated enough to have the words and the vocabulary to just justify it, right? To make beautiful excuses that other people buy. So I'm saying all that because I think it's something that you're pointing to here, that you seem to be saying, Clémence, that sometimes you think you're doing things because it's what feels aligned, right? That's the justification that you put out there or inside yourself. And there's a little voice inside of you that is like, I think I'm just afraid of being uncomfortable. Hence, I'm going to push, right? So there's shortcuts throughout this whole sentence. There's a shortcut between force, right? If I force myself, if I go into obligation, that's the same thing as if I was jumping and I was, doing the uncomfortable thing and I'm moving forward by doing the thing that I'm most afraid of, right? So a sort of courage and stuff like that. To me, being strong-willed and having courage are two different things, right? They're two different things. I can find, perhaps it's just where I am in my journey, but I can find very few things, that I find lacking in courage. And yet in being strong-willed, I can see very easily the limits of that, like how you can go too far when you're strong-willed if you do not have the wisdom or the awareness or the alignment, right? Whereas courage to me is the thing you do. It's a beautiful thing to me because it's the thing you do when you are scared and you do it anyways, right? The Brene Brown, very famous Brene Brown quote, right? Right. And then there's another shortcut, which is I can see that sometimes I'm using, so there's a lot of self-awareness there. I can see that sometimes I'm using the word aligned, right? And I'm like taking my needs as a justification to not be doing this. So far, so good. Very human thing to do, right? Um, and then there's a shortcut of like, hence, because I'm doing this, I think I'm doing that, then I'm going to go back to pushing, right? I'm going to completely ignore my needs and I'm going to go back to pushing. Whereas for me here, I'm thinking, and I'm already anticipating the questions that you said afterwards. I think that the biggest sign for me of a lack of alignment uh, in myself and in others when I'm coaching or also with my friends is an all or nothing mentality. If I'm still testing this out, right? But I think so far from what I'm noticing, I think that when we are in a state, when we are doing all or nothing type of reasoning, I'm either going to go in full obligation mode and force through and, feel the pain and do it anyway, like that type of hustle thing, versus I'm feeling so aligned. So all I do all day is listen to my needs. And that's all that matters to me, right? Which means for the people who have a tendency to do that and who feel a little uncomfortable when I'm saying that, which means if we're in a relationship, my needs matter over yours, right? Which means we don't realize that, but it can come with a cost if we're always centered on ourselves and our needs, right? My needs of, being comfortable and not being shaken and not being mean that I can't cope with the real world. The world is too noisy. The world is this and that, which it can be, and which I can understand you have these needs because I have these needs too. And I can also be a fully functioning human being who can make decisions about that. I don't have to be terrorized inside my home and I'll be able to do specific things, right? And so, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That, like, if one way to discern alignment is, how does it feel? Do you feel good, right? Does this feel right inside you? And I'm touching my heart because this is where I know. Like, if I'm feeling tight, it's like, this is not aligned, right? I can feel it in my body. Perhaps you can too. Some people say they have a tightness in here in their throat. Some people say it's in the chest, right? Solar plexus. People feel tension here. Like, you can usually feel it in your body. So if you're tuned with your body, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, perhaps you're like, oh yeah, I do have a lot of tension here now that I think about it, right? So this is something that you can look at. It can also just feel like when I'm aligned, I can breathe, right? I don't feel the sense of like I can't breathe. It's heavy, right? That is misalignment to me. When I feel aligned, I can breathe so fully, right? It's like it feels right. Like my mind agrees, and it feels like everything is literally aligned. My mind agrees with my heart, and my heart agrees with my body. Like everything is going really well between all the different parts of me. And if you're a spiritual being and you believe you have a soul, right, then your soul would be aligned with that too, right? So all of the components of your being feel in alignment, meaning they are in agreement with one another, right? So let me continue with what you were saying. But other times, I feel like I'm finally learning to listen to myself and respect my needs. Yeah, so I think that's absolutely wonderful. And I'm sure that it is true, right? Because you seem, from the vocabulary you're using and the level of self awareness you have and the complexity in what you're saying, right? A lot of people, when they begin their journey of self improvement or healing or whatever it is, right? I will include myself in it, we love to see things in black and white, right? We love to see that, oh, this person is mean, this person is kind, this person is toxic, but I'm healthy, like all these different things, right? And it's normal. It's the beginning path of a healing journey and a self-awareness journey. In what I'm seeing here with you, Clémence, is I'm seeing something much more intricate and delicate and sophisticated. I can see someone who can see herself clearly, who can actually already discern what her patterns are, right? You might not yet know how to deal with all of the things, but I can see someone who's done a lot of the work and who is already aware that it would be good for her to listen to her needs, and who can part of the time at least do that, which is absolutely wonderful. That's what we want, right? We really do want to listen to ourselves, listen to our bodies, to our hearts, to our minds as well, not put the mind away either, because we also need our mind. It's beautiful too. We just need to be able to put everything together into perspective, not just be a thinking mind. Um, and so, yeah, that's what I'm wishing for you. That's absolutely wonderful. And I would say, if you think about what I was just saying about alignment and aligning all the different parts of you. So we go from the mind, the heart, the body, right? Or your soul, if you include that in. One of the ways that you could do such a thing, like actively pursue alignment and start having conversations within yourself, if you don't mind looking a little crazy to everyone else, which I don't. You can do that in your home when no one sees you, right? Or in the bathroom, or just in your mind and no one knows what you're doing when you're taking a walk or whatever you're doing, or when you're dancing or whatever it is that you like to do. And so I think that one of the beautiful tools that I use and that I recommend in coaching is doing a little board meeting with yourself. And what I would recommend is doing, you could do different types of board meetings. You'll see me doing a lot of identity type of coaching where I will split you in different types of identities within yourself, right? And I will ask you to make them talk to one another. Or another thing is just to like make your mind, if you are in a situation like here, right? Alignment is more a heart type of thing, right? And like where your heart is driving the show, but your mind is okay with it. I would say that a hustle and push type of culture is more your mind is dictating where you're supposed to go, right? So to me, how I see it if you think about it in metaphors and images, then those two parts are cut out. One is saying you have to do things one way. One is saying it doesn't feel right when I'm doing this way, right? And then there's also your body, which has other aspects that it's communicating to you. It's a different language. And so my recommendation would be to then start this conversation between your mind and your heart at the same time. So it could look like having a board meeting between the 3 or 4, depending on what you believe in, aspects of yourself, right? So, for example, let's say that this morning I have a lot of things to do, which is true, right? I have a lot of things to do, but I still want to do this episode, right? This episode that I'm filming right now. So if I were to do a board meeting with myself and the different parts of myself, I would ask myself, like, what does my mind tells me I need to do? My mind tells me that if I want to feel successful by the end of the night, I need to have done 2 of these episodes. I need to have scheduled them so that I'm ready for tomorrow and I don't have to worry about it. I need to prepare all the things that I need to prepare for a big meeting that I have tomorrow. I also need to do my accounting because tomorrow is the 10th, and before the 10th, I need to do my accounting, right? And so, and my mind tells me if I haven't done all that by the time that my fiance comes back home, that means that I will work overtime to finish that. That's what my mind is saying. No judgment, right? So you can be judging my mind. I'm learning to not judge my mind. That's what my mind needs: the certainty, the rules, the obligations, right? I want to be a responsible person, right? This is what my mind is saying, a version of that. What does my heart say? My heart says, it's a beautiful day. I feel, a little tired, right? That's my body too. But I feel a little tired, but I feel happy and I want to feel happy throughout the day. So I want whatever I do, I want to feel proud of myself by the end of the day. That's what my heart wants. And I want to feel like I did a lot of beautiful things. I want to do them in a happy way, right? So, in other words, my mind right now was thinking, I will push till the end because I want to achieve this goal. My heart isn't saying that. My heart is saying, I also want to do a lot of beautiful things, but I want to do them from a place of joy. I want to feel happy and proud, not just proud, also happy, right? So it gives me a first level of like, okay, cool. Like I can breathe. I'll do my best. And when it's done, it's done. And when my fiance comes back home, I will not continue. I will assume that whatever needed to be done will be done, right? So you start to see the reconciliation inside myself, right? You can try that at home as well, right? If you're doing this with me, do this with me. Put me on pause and then do the process with yourself. Ask yourself for the specific situation you have. Now let's go to my body. What is my body? I'm going to put my hands on my belly. You can put them on your heart. You can do both. Let's do both for me. So what is my body telling me? My body is telling me that I'm happy, but I'm also tired, right? Same thing as what my heart was saying. And what do I want to do today with regards to me being tired? Um, I feel like my shoulders are a little tight. Let's do a body scan, right? So my shoulders are a little tight. Yeah, I can feel all of this here. My chest was a little tight earlier because of when I entered the session that I'm recording. I was feeling a little tight because I was in my mind, right? My mind was running the show and like I want to build this and I want to do that, right? And I wasn't sure how to reconcile this. Since I talked about my heart, I took that deep breath. This is feeling much, much better. So the only thing that comes to me is I would like a little bit of comfort around my body. So my body would love to take things slow, right? So we can do the things, but let's do it them in a slow way. Let's take plenty of breaks. I had an idea that I love drinking teas, right? So let's drink plenty of teas, eat really well today because I think my body really needs it, right? And I would love to sleep a long, long night tonight. So now the idea of my mind of going, doing things past 6 p.m. is out the window. It's not the day to do that for me, right? And then if I go to my soul, to me, my soul means it means different things, but one of the things is it aligns me to my purpose. So if you don't believe in having a soul, perhaps you can think of like your broader purpose in life, right? So it zooms you out of this specific day where you think you need to get all the things done and you're so busy and you have a to do list like that, and gets you back into the broader perspective of your life and the purpose of my life. So what's the purpose of my life, right? The purpose of my life right now is to have a beautiful, beautiful life that I fully enjoy. And I want to do beautiful things, right? While I feel really, really good, right? So, right now, am I doing beautiful things? Yes, right? Would be preparing the meeting tomorrow a beautiful thing? Less beautiful thing, according to me, but still a beautiful thing, right? But I want to do it from a place of joy. And like my joy is my purpose. Because when I'm joyful, I can show up here in a beautiful state and place and I can give you everything that I have. Doesn't matter if I'm tired or if I'm not tired, right? So that's what my soul is telling me. So the conclusion from this little board meeting that you could see live is, you can see it for me. There's actually a lot of alignment between the parts already. It's just they were not communicating with one another. Everything inside of me is tired, including my mind. My mind has had other plans. So now what we decided as a board, as all of me has decided that today is going to be a productive day, but a slow productive day. I'm going to do the things. I'm going to go through the things. I'm going to take plenty of breaks. I'm going to go outside because the sun is shining, as you can see it from my face. And I'm still going to do plenty of things. And I'm going to be super, super happy that I finished them and feel super proud. And when it's done, it's done. And I will consider that this is enough for the day. Doesn't matter what other people think, right? So that was the end of my board meeting, right? So I kind of anticipated what you were saying, right, Clémence? You had two more questions, and I think I just responded to it by saying this. You asked, how do I know if I'm avoiding something out of fear or if I'm actually honoring my intuition? And how do I tell the difference between alignment and staying in my comfort zone? So I just showed you what alignment looks like to me and a little exercise of how you can achieve alignment, right? And you asked me, you know, how am I actually avoiding things, like what does it look like when I'm in my comfort zone or when I'm trying to avoid something? And one of the things is misalignment, right? Is feeling the misalignment and feeling the fear and the tightness that I explained. I would add one more thing to all of this, besides like feeling it in your body and all these different things. I would say that I also find that when I'm making excuses for myself and I'm too much in my needs, right? If I'm too much in my needs and I'm actually rationalizing, my my excuses and, the fact that I don't want to do things, but I can find beautiful excuses, what I find is I'm stuck over the long run. So let's say, not just today, right? Today, if I don't do anything, nothing happens, right? But if over the long run, let's say in a week's time or in 2 weeks' time, right? Or a month or whatever time frame you want, have I stayed stuck? Is there any type of movement in this area of my life that I care about or no? Because oftentimes when we're just tired, right? If like I'm honoring my needs, like I'm on purpose, I know what I want to do. I know I want to be doing this show, right? And all these different things. But this week I'm so tired and I don't want to film, right? Then this week I didn't film, right? Perhaps someone is disappointed. Perhaps I'm a little disappointed too. But in a bigger scheme of things, if I look back in 3 months, I will still have continued my, my good girl syndrome show, right? It will still have been continuing. It will have been doing great. And I'm super proud of myself. And yes, I know that I skipped a week, right? But in the biggest scheme of things, does it really matter? No, I have moved forward, right? That to me feels like alignment. If, however, I said that I was going to do something and I don't do it, and it's been 3 months, right? And I haven't done it, then I know that I'm avoiding it. And also, if I'm completely honest with myself, because the first thing that I'll do, because I'm a good thinking mind, right? I can rationalize things really well, as I was saying before. My mind will have all sorts of excuses. Oh, but I had too much to do, and I had this, and I had that, and it's impossible to do, like whatever it wants to say. Yes, but if this is a priority, then I could have prioritized it, right? And removed something else from my plate. No one forces me to do anything that I do right now at this stage. So it's me who chose that over something else. So what does that tell me? Do I actually want to do it? If it's a yes, then why haven't I? It's because I'm afraid, right? It's because to some level, I feel like it's a mountain. I'm afraid. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what the first step is. It's scary, like whatever it is. But the truth is something of that version. And what that actually looks like in my life is a lack of movement. Like over the long run, I haven't moved, right? And that's when I know I need to do what you were saying earlier, not force myself and like do the thing and be in pain all the time. Not that, but I will feel aligned. I will have my board meeting to know what is aligned. And I will know that because I'm scared, I will have a tendency to hold back and be in paralysis type of mode. Instead of staying there, I'm going to say, I'm going to do the next right step, right? I'm going to stretch a little bit today. What are the next steps that I could do? What would be the first step to doing the thing that I'm scared of, right? And that's how I would continue. So I hope this was helpful to you, Clémence. That's how I perceive these things and how I help women, kind of recognize when it's fear and when it's like alignment or intuition that is speaking. Because sometimes it's not so easy to understand the difference between the two, right? We become very much aware and we understand, we become sophisticated as, emotional beings and sometimes as spiritual beings as well. Doesn't mean that we always know how to discern between the two. So I thought your question was brilliant, that you were able to put these words and you were able to go so deep in this topic. And I'm sure that anyone who listens to this and just listens to your question, not even to what I'm saying, but just your question, I find I could relate to a lot. And I'm sure that a lot of good girls watching this will be able to relate to as well. So thank you so much for asking me your question, Clémence. And if you or anyone else has any questions that you want me to answer, please go find in the description box the Google form where you can just put any of the questions that you have that you want me to reply to. I have quite a few for the next few weeks, but please keep them coming because then I'm creating content for you based on that. And one more thing, Clémence, or anyone else who loved this episode and feels like she needs more work on it. So I'll be on Sunday, my version of this episode, like how I deal with things, right? And my story with it will come out on Sunday. But on Sunday, there's also the Sunday Sanctuary newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go check the description box and go subscribe because I will be putting like an exercise, a reflection type of exercise where you can actually do these exercises for yourself, right? And integrate what we've learned this week into your actual life before you start the new week. So if you're interested in that, go check the description box. And I think on that note, I think it's time to go. Thank you so much for watching, my friend. Thank you, Clémence, again for your beautiful question. And I will see you Sunday. Bye, my friend.